So if you were planning on starting a brand new med spa in a brand new market, what's the first thing you would do to start making these types of decisions on what you're going to offer? What kinds of things would you look at and do to make those decisions?
Well, first off, I'd want to make the decision if I'm going to start off using the world of injections or the world of technologies or both. That'd be my first decision point. Once I made that determination on injections or technology, I would say, okay, in the world of injections, gosh, there's a lot out there. There's 7, 10, 15 different things out there. And I don't really want to be all things to all people. So I want to kind of hone in on a couple of things that are interesting to me, that maybe I've been trained on, interesting, and that are, out there in the marketplace, like the Botox of the world or the lip fillers or the blah, blah, blah. And I would not bring on 12 different injections or 12 different injectable services. I'd start with maybe a max of a couple, maybe like a max of 3 to get my feet wet. I would start with the big branded products, like the ones that are familiar names, like a Botox, before I'd start with a Xeomin or Jeuveau or something that's not as familiar. I'd start with a Juvederm or a Restylane versus a Versa. I'd start with the more familiar things as you're getting your feet wet, because that's what the market's calling for in the world of injections. And then once I evolved, then I'd bring on the lesser no brand name injections where you can make a higher profit margin, but now people trust you and they're going to buy what you want to sell them and what you're recommending. And the products are just as good as like Coke and Pepsi, but some things are big branded products like Botox, and you may not have heard of it, Dispa or Jeuveau, but they're just as good and you can make a lot more money. So on the injection side, that's where I'd start. On the technology side, a little overwhelming. Heck, there's probably 10 different really popular modalities out there, from hair removal to skin rejuvenation to tattoo removal to body contouring, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the devices are expensive. So you almost have to start with, okay, what one thing do I want to focus on? What one technology do I want to go with? What's going to bring in the most traffic and not necessarily make as much money, such as laser hair removal? Or do I want to niche it out a little bit and start on something more niche-y like body contouring or tattoo removal or microneedling? There's no right or wrong, but you can't start with multiple devices because the price point is too expensive. So I would determine what type of modality I want to start with. And that would be my kind of step one, Erica, as far as, okay, here's the injections, here's the technology. Now I've got my platform, my initial foundation before I go to the next step.
What I noticed too is when we're working on branding and also just planning for a website, it's sort of interesting and fun to pretend that you're putting together a one-page brochure. When you're forced to put your message down on a one-page brochure, that really helps you hone in on, and you have to do it in a way that's a little selfish at first and really think about what's going to make you happy. Once you do that, there's tools you can use too. You can do research on regions and find out what the big search terms are. Like, it shows you a mixture of what consumers are searching for. So don't search for the equipment. Search for what consumers are trying to solve, because you know what the equipment, you should know what the equipment solves, right? But people aren't out there searching on the equipment necessarily. And then when you see that data, it'll tell you too how competitive it is. And that's based on what people are spending on paid ads, but you don't have to get into that world right away. But that data shows you like the search volume, and it shows you if there's a high amount of competition, a medium amount, or a low amount of competition. And that kind of data can really help you a lot make those decisions.
So you guys, there's a tool on Google. If you go to google.com, it's called AdWords. On an AdWords, you can put in a word of interest to you to see how many consumers in your area are searching for that service. So let's say you can put in laser hair removal or Botox or lip fillers, and then it'll tell you all the different variations of what people are typing in, like, how much does Botox cost or blah, blah, blah. And they'll tell you how many people a month are searching for that in your area. So you can get a flavor for, in the area that you live in a 60-mile radius, what are consumers looking for? And if you're kind of torn, maybe I'm going to do more of this or more of that, maybe that can help guide you down the road, because you know what your marketplace is demanding, which is what it's asking for. So there's definitely good tools out there that can give you some nice information if you're kind of torn whether to go left or right.
And it's free. And you can also even, one good thing to do is to even look at a competitor in your area who you want to emulate or beat. And Google AdWords can also show you actual ads that are running on those keywords. And you can see if your competition is running ads and what they're saying.